Well, hello. My name is Jim Elias. I'm a business professor here at Muscatine Community College, and today we're not doing what I typically do as a business class or a startup grind event, but I have with me my guest, Kim Bromley, who is a professor of art at North Dakota State University, and so he's a visiting artist here with us this week. He had an art show, an art exhibit at the Muscatine Art Center, which is coming down. But he's also here at the college today to do a creativity enhancement workshop. So welcome, Kim. Thanks for coming to Iowa.
Thank you for inviting me.
So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about where Kim's perspective, what his creativity enhancement workshop is going to be about. He's a painter and an illustrator. He teaches college students, but he's also a hypnotist. So let's just break into that. Kim, tell us, first of all, how did you get into hypnotism to begin with?
Oh, back when I was a freshman in high school, I had to go to the dentist, and of course, who likes to go to the dentist, right?
Right.
So I had read an article about go to the dentist pain-free with hypnosis. So I looked up and did some research on hypnosis and how to do self-hypnosis.
Okay.
So I learned how to do self-hypnosis, and I went to the dentist, and it was a much more pleasant experience. So it worked for me. And then I taught down at Kentucky Wesleyan College, and they brought in a stage hypnotist.
Okay.
And some of my students who I knew as being rather shy and not out there at all, they got up on stage and they did these crazy things. And I thought, wow, hypnosis, maybe that can be helpful for art. So the next year we had a different hypnotist come to the campus, and before he came I called him and I said, can you do anything to help my students? And he said, sure, I can give it a shot. So he came down to the studio and did some suggestions, some things like that, and I thought, well, this guy doesn't know enough about art to help these students out enough. And so I thought, I need to be trained as a hypnotist. So I went to the National Guild of Hypnotists in the East Coast in New England and took a 2-week workshop and learned how to do hypnosis. Developed what I call my creativity enhancement workshop, and been doing it since '99.
Okay. Was this first experience you had seeing some results, or one of the early experiences, results seeing your students and what hypnosis helped them do?
Well, actually, when I got the training, towards the end, as part of our training, we had to hypnotize each other. And so I put together a quick little workshop for, we had typing paper and ink pens, and none of these people were artists. And I says, I'd like to try this out on you. So I set up a little still life and we did it. And they were amazed at the difference in terms of the drawings that they did from the baseline to the ones under hypnosis. And I thought, well, I just need to hone this in a little bit and tune it up. And so then I brought it to my students, and it helps them relax. It helps them let go of some fears, limitations, and inhibitions, and their drawings become a little bit more free, I would say.
Okay. So in your classes, when you're doing this with your students, as part of your curriculum, part of the training that you're doing with them, how early do you bring it into a particular course or a program with you?
It's about a third way through the semester.
Okay.
I want them, because I do it in painting and I do it in drawing, and I want them to get used to some of the tools first, to learn some of the basics, techniques, and things like that, so they have something to work with, and then I bring it in. We see how it goes.
Okay.
And there's, hypnosis is just one of the creative strategies that I use in class. I emphasize creativity in my classes. We also do De Bono's 6 thinking hats. We do mind mapping, some things like that help them come up with creative ideas.
So, and I know earlier today when some folks were talking with you, you indicated that it's kind of a self-hypnosis strategy. It's a strategy that I'll be able to use going forward, right? So how do I do that?
Well, hypnosis is always self-hypnosis. The hypnotist is only the guide.
Okay.
You, as the individual being hypnotized, you have to allow it to happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. so the processes that we go through, and at the end of the session, I always tell them, just use the same process that we did today, and it's basically some relaxation techniques we do. We do some visualization, and then I give them some suggestions, and so they can do all those things on their own. And like I said, it's self-hypnosis, so they could come up with their own suggestions or things like that. Hypnosis is, I think, as I mentioned earlier in a previous interview, it's always self-hypnosis. It's always up to you to let it go. We're in hypnosis several times during the day. Like driving down the road, if you've been going 5-10 miles and you go, where'd those 5 or 10 miles go? You've been in a state of hypnosis. You've been working on a project for a couple hours. You think it's been 20 minutes. You've been in a state of hypnosis. And also you wake up in the morning. You're between being awake and being asleep after your alarm's gone up. You're in a state of hypnosis, and a perfect place to give yourself suggestions for the rest of the day.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right. So I know that you also, when you started doing this, and you teamed up with a psychology professor at North Dakota State University, and you guys did some research. So let's kind of take that academic approach to what you're doing. Tell us about the research and what you did and what your findings were in the end.
Well, I teamed up with Dr. Jim Council, and he had done some previous research with hypnosis, and when I told him what I was doing, he says, well, let's team up and see if this is significant. And so we did, and we gathered the drawings after we did the workshop, and then we sent the drawings out to different art professors to grade them in terms of how they saw the progression. And so we got that information back and did statistics on it and came up and found that it was significant. So it was, we did that with drawing, theater, and writing.
Okay.
And the writing one we never published anything, but in the drawing one is the only one we really published anything with, but it was published in the creativity journal.
Okay. So what kind of significant results do we see? When we look at the 3 pieces that your participants will do, will we be able to see a marked difference from the baseline to the third one?
Oh yeah, yeah. The first one is, compared to the other 2, seems rather stifled. It seems like the person's thinking about it a lot, trying to make things look very accurate and perfect, and oftentimes don't get a whole lot done in the 10 minutes. And with the 2, as we go through in the hypnosis, they seem to, even though they're all 10-minute drawings, the last one seems like they had a lot more time because there's a lot more done on it. The second one usually comes out, the objects are usually larger. The line work is much freer and looser. And there's more to it.
Do they end up looking more abstract than the first, or is it more a matter of how a subject, participant decides they like to draw?
They end up looking more lively.
More lively, okay.
More full of life, and oftentimes a little bit more realistic.
Really? Okay.
Because usually the first ones are so tight and rendered. There's no life to them, and usually the second one is, they kind of let it go.
Gotcha.
And that's all part of the suggestions, is to be able to do that. And under hypnosis, I take them through a tour of a gallery where master works are hung, and talk about those master works and what they do, and how they too are masters and they can do it as well.
Right. Well, as you're saying that, first one is more rendered. As they progress, it becomes more lively and more life to it. Maybe not necessarily more lifelike, but more alive. When we were down at my gallery this morning, and you were looking at one of my paintings in the Joy Springs, that's very realistic, and you said to try some, what'd you say, non-native colors?
Non-local colors.
Non-local colors, yeah.
Local color, sky is blue, grass is green, orange is orange, apple's red.
Yeah.
But they're not. You look at an apple, you study that apple, and there's yellows, and there's greens, and there's oranges and purples in that apple. So if you want to paint that apple to look realistically, you need to use those colors. It's not just red. And so with your painting, even though you had a nice variety of greens, I thought it was nice, there's going to be other colors besides green in those plants. So if you get those colors in there, it's going to bring your painting to life a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like I said, I thought you had great light in it. Keep the light up.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. But as you say that, to go from something that looks rendered, I understand that concept. It's very almost clinical, almost mechanical drawing, to something that has more life. There's so many, as you're saying, I mean, there's so many colors, so many different shapes and movements in what really is life that our eyes don't necessarily always see it.
More variety and mark making comes up.
Mark making.
Making, yeah. And, that's drawing is basically just mark making, and it's one thing to draw, like if you take a figure and you draw a figure and you use the same kind of line all the way through that figure, it comes out looking rather diagrammatical or rendered. Where if you can start seeing the nuances in terms of how the line gets thinner here, maybe a little darker there, maybe a little thicker there, you start doing that, then the figure starts to come alive. So that variety, and because that variety is out there.
Yeah. So last night at the Art Center, we were looking at your paintings in your Moby Dick series, which, at least from my perspective, not as a trained artist or art teacher, it's abstract. I assume it's abstract art. But looking at some of your other work, it's in a realm that I would consider more realism. As a painter yourself, where do you find, or when do you find you want to go one direction versus another?
Oh, that's a good question. It depends on the subject, and I get back to the basics of what I'd like to do with paint. I like the paint. I like the smell of the paint. I like the juiciness of the paint. I like the liquidness of the paint different ways I can apply it. I like the feel of the paint when it goes on the canvas, and so all those things are important, as I paint, no matter whether it be realistic or abstract. So when I do something that's realistic, I look for those kind of opportunities in the realism that I can use paint in a way that I like to use paint. I'm also intrigued by light and color, and oftentimes place. My work is a lot about place. I mean, I've traveled to Mexico a couple times, to Ecuador, Jamaica, Cuba. Spent some time in Chicago a couple times doing paintings right in the street, and that's always fun.
Yeah.
So I like location. Chicago is. I lived in Chicago for a year, and I would take my pastels and my paper and go down on Broadway, and I lived in a place that was right on the border of burned out shops, homeless people. On the other side of the fence, these $1 million homes and things like this. I was right there on the edge.
Yeah.
But in Broadway, I'd go up there and I'd sit on the street and I would paint different places, and the experiences I had were priceless. So one day I'm sitting there painting this building across the street, and there was kind of this median in the middle of the road that I was on. Well, there must have been a half a dozen homeless guys there, and I'd set my painting down on the curb and back up a little bit to look at it, and they'd come out there with me and critique my work for me.
Yeah, nice.
It was fun. One day I was out there and I was painting some graffiti on the side of this building in my painting, and a bunch of kind of a gang of kids came and they kind of surrounded me, and I was like, I never took my billfold up there, so I didn't have any money to rob, but I was a little scared about it, because they kind of, what are you doing here? It's like their territory. And I said, well, I'm painting this building across the way there. They go, oh, we do art too. Well, they were tagging things. They had a regular portfolio of images that they were going to use and tag.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. Yeah. And so as I continued to draw, once I finished the graffiti on the side of the building, they went, yeah, you got it, because they were waiting for me to get their graffiti in my painting.
Get their graffiti in your painting to get it right.
Right. And then they took off after that. So a little scary, but it was fun nonetheless.
Cool.
I had one guy, homeless guy, he came over and he was asking me how much, stuff like that I'd charge, and I said, yeah. I didn't go into it a whole lot. Well, then he disappeared, and about 15 minutes later he came back, and there was like a Woolworth building store right across the street, and he brought this little ceramic piece. He goes, yeah, I'm an artist. I said, I made this, and he says, what do you give me for it? And so I looked at it, and here's made in China on the bottom of it, you know. And I said, well, you know, it's nice. I said, but I really don't want to buy it right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
So these kind of experiences were a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
And you know, in Mexico and Ecuador, I had similar experiences as I painted out on the location. I had one older woman. She just got off the bus and she saw me painting. I was painting the laundromat across the street with this pastel. And she came over and looked at what I was doing, and she grabbed my hand and she put like 10 peso coin in my hand. She goes, "Here you go," like I needed the money or something,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah. You didn't have your guitar case open.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Here's a question. It just popped into my mind. I don't know if I mentioned this to you last night, but had a girl. She was one of our high school art students last year, and we had a show in our gallery. She had a piece, and then she came home over the break from college, and she came into the gallery to say hi, and we were talking, and she said, "What's your favorite painting of my own work?"
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have a favorite?
Oh boy. You know, it's always, my favorite's usually always the piece that I just did, and I've got one in the studio right now that I've just finished up and framed that I really like, and so that's kind of my favorite right now, but it'll change in a week or two, I'm sure.
Cool.
You
Well,
know,
that makes me feel good, because I thought about it and I said, yeah, boy, I don't know, and I finally said, my favorite is the one that I'm working on right now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
Good. All right, let's talk real quick about what your creativity enhancement workshop's going to be. When we go and do that, what are participants going to? How are we going to experience? Kind of give us a rundown of the.
Well, first I'll kind of introduce what we're going to do and help them relax about the whole hypnosis thing, because hypnotism frightens some people sometimes. They think they're going to lose total control and I'll be in control. And like I said, hypnosis is always self-hypnosis. So they'll, you know, I try to help them relax about that. And then we'll do a baseline drawing, 10-minute drawing, so we have something to compare what we do under hypnosis. And then we'll do some relaxation techniques to help them relax, sink deeper into the chair, and we'll do some visualization. And then under hypnosis, I'll give them some suggestions, and we'll do one drawing. And then I'll bring them up, and then I'll do another drawing. And with each drawing, I give them different suggestions for each drawing. And then at the end, we'll come up and we'll compare them. And I'll try to talk. It depends on how many people will be there, but hopefully we can talk to everybody and what their experience was like and how they thought it went. So.
Okay, cool, good. We're going to wrap up this part then, and we'll go do that, and then we're going to get some video of the workshop and some of the results. So we'll come back later and take a look at that. So thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate
it. My name is Jim Elias. I'm a business professor here at MCC, and Professor Bromley from North Dakota State University is going to help us with this creativity enhancement workshop. The Muscatine Art Center, Virginia is back here representing them, reached out to us and said, Kim Bromley's going to be here to pick up his exhibit and take it home, and he's also a hypnotist. And I said that would be a cool thing to do at MCC. So I also turned it over to some of my students to promote this event. So say thanks to Roberto and Alexis for all the help that they did to get this thing going. So that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. Professor Kibble Bromley is from North Dakota State University. He teaches painting and drawing, and he does some really brilliant work. But I think more fun and more importantly today is he's going to help us enhance our creativity through hypnosis.
All right. So first thing, hypnosis is just a focused state of relaxation. It's basically a relaxation technique. We're not going to do any of the things like you see in stage shows where they do crazy stuff. This is just to help us. What we want to do is rid ourselves of fears, limitations, and inhibitions. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some progressive relaxation. We're going to do some visualization, and then while you're under hypnosis, we're going to do some drawing. We're going to do 2 drawings under hypnosis. But what we're going to do first is each of these drawings is going to be 10 minutes. And we're going to start off with a baseline drawing, This is the still life we're going to draw. Isn't it great? We had to scavenge around here to find things for the still life. So we're going to do a 10-minute drawing. You're going to do the best 10-minute drawing of this still life that you can do. And this will be our baseline drawing. So we can use that to compare to what we do under hypnosis. So always feeling good, always feeling wonderful, doing an absolutely wonderful job here today. What I want you to do right now is I want you to visualize this. I want you to visualize a relaxing blanket around your feet. This blanket is going to come up around the different muscle groups of your body, and with every muscle group that comes up around, it's going to relax that muscle group and take you down into a deeper state of relaxation. Using your vivid imaginations now, where you just imagine this relaxing blanket around your feet. It feels so warm, so cozy. It's coming up now around your calves. Coming up around your calves, it feels so good, relaxing your calves. No stress, no tension, total relaxation. That relaxing blanket is now coming up around your hips, relaxing your legs, all of your legs, totally relaxed. Feels so good, so warm, so cozy. That relaxing blanket now coming up around your midsection, up over your butt, around your midsection, and it feels so warm, like a cocoon, like a sleeping bag, like you're in this nice warm quilt. It feels so relaxing, taking you down deeper and deeper with every muscle group. Relaxing blanket now coming up around your shoulders, feels absolutely wonderful. It's now coming up over your head, relaxing your whole body, taking you down into a deeper state of relaxation. Beginning to descend these steps. 9, continuing to go down deeper and deeper into relaxation. 8, always feels good, you are always in control. 7, know now that you are a master, that you can create like the masters that you just saw. 7, feeling this renewed sense of creativity, ready to tackle another drawing. 6, deeper and deeper into relaxation. 5, noticing how those artists were all over the whole picture plane, how they used their whole piece of paper to create that magic, so we looked at it and saw it as it was. 5, 4, continuing down deeper and deeper into relaxation. 3, almost there at the bottom. 2, 1, 0. We're at the bottom of the steps and you're in front of the door. I want you now to step through that door. And once you step through that door, you step in to your own studio space. This is your ideal studio space. Maybe it's a studio space that you have right now, but it's your ideal studio space. There's everything you'd ever want to create in there. And on the easel, there's a piece of paper on the easel and all the charcoal that you'd ever want right there, some erasers, everything that you would want to draw. And in front of you is a subject that you'd like to draw. Maybe you're looking out a window, looking at a beautiful landscape. Maybe you've set up your own still life. Maybe there's a person you're doing a portrait of. Or maybe there's figures where you're doing figure drawings. Maybe it's just the interior space that you want to draw. Whatever it is that you'd like to draw, right now in your mind's eye, I want you to begin drawing on that piece of paper. I want you to create what you'd like to create, being free as you are right now to create in any way you want. Reflecting back on those masters' works and how sensitive they were with their mark, how much of a variety there were of marks that they made, how they paid attention to the whole picture plane, how they were all over and bringing it up all at once, seeing that everything made a difference. Every mark you make on your page makes a difference. You can see how Jackson Pollock was so free. You too can be that free. You can see how Matisse wasn't worried about three-dimensionality. He was more excited about just making marks on the paper. And we can see with Degas how tender, loving care he used in making every mark that he put down. You too have an ability to do all those things. In your mind's eye, continue to work on your drawing as I continue to talk. You may pay more attention to your drawing than you do me, and that's fine. You're now artists. You're now free to create in any way you want. You're masters. No limitations, no fears, no inhibitions. You can create in any way you want. I want you now to put the finishing touches on this drawing in your mind's eye. Stand back and look at what a wonderful job you did. Absolutely wonderful. You've done a wonderful job, a great looking drawing in your mind's eye. Now, in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count from 1 to 3 and I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. When you open your eyes, I want you to do it one more time. I want you to draw this still life out here. I want you to keep in mind what you saw as you looked at those masters' works, how they were all over the whole picture plane, how they were very sensitive with their marks, how they touched their marks with tender loving care, how they were very free and spontaneous with what they did. When I count from 1 to 3, I'll ask you to open your eyes, and with every breath you take and every mark you make, I want you to continue and stay relaxed in hypnosis while your eyes are open. That's right. With every breath you take and every mark you make, you'll continue to stay relaxed and in hypnosis as you do this next drawing. You'll have 10 minutes to do the drawing. I'm going to count from 1 to 3 and ask you to open your eyes, and you can begin. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. You have 10 minutes to do another drawing. Begin. I'm going to take you back down, eyes closed. Count from 5 to 0 to help you relax. 5, letting yourself relax, letting yourself go back down into a nice deep state of relaxation. 4, deeper and deeper with every count. 3, deeper, down, down. 2, almost there. 1, 0, nice and relaxed, back down into a nice deep state of relaxation. You guys have done a wonderful job here today. What you can do now is you can take this workshop and you can use it on your own. Do much like we did earlier, find a nice comfortable place where you can be undisturbed and just go through your body and relax your body. You know, you can go through the muscle groups, relax each of your muscles, flex them and relax them, but just get somewhere where you're nice and relaxed. And then count backwards from 20 to 0 to help take you down into a nice deep state of relaxation. It's always a good idea to use that hot air balloon to rid yourself of any daily anxieties or angst or anything you've got going on that day. Put those anxieties and those worries in that hot air balloon and see them disappear and allow yourself to be free in thinking and clear in thinking. And then you can go to a place in your mind's eye where you'd like to be and give yourself suggestions that might be helpful. Maybe you have a habit you want to quit. Maybe, again, you want to be more creative, so see yourself, visualize yourself being creative. Visualization is so important. See yourself in your own mind completing those things that you'd like to complete, doing those behaviors that you'd like to do, so that they become reality when you're awake. I'm going to bring you up now. I'm going to count from 1 to 5 and bring you up out of hypnosis. 1, starting from up. 2, feeling the blood come into your veins. 3, thanks for working with me today. You did a wonderful job. 4, almost there. 5, eyes wide open, feeling good, feeling wonderful in every way. All right, what I'd like to do now is I'd like us to lay out all the drawings in the space I cleared behind us. So let's lay them out so that we're all facing them like this. So put your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we'll move these tables here a little bit this way, and then we'll all talk about what we did here today. All right? So let's do that.
The ones right in front of you?
Yeah,
Those are me.
Those are you. Well, how was the experience for you?
I don't know. I just quit getting nitpicky after the first one. I hadn't drew in like years.
Yeah. You know, I think that and that shows here again. You know, your line's pretty much the same all the way through the piece. On this one, I like how you've gotten more values, and you know, your line is even different. It's a different kind of a quality, more life to your line than the second one, I think. And the third one, you know, you filled up the whole picture plane. It's like, you know, kind of when I was talking about the artists in the gallery, how they use their whole piece of paper. This one, you're doing that, and that's really neat to see. As a 6-year-old, you're paying attention to the world, right? Good.
I like the teeth a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really good.
And these 3,
It's me.
tell us about your experience.
I don't know. I felt like I had a harder time with the third one.
Yeah. What happened with the second one there? You kind of let loose on that one there.
I don't know what I was doing.
Oh, that's great. You know, I think that we're going to see 2 in the second one and the third one. More ideas start to come into it. It's not just, okay, I'm going to draw this still life, but now it's like, oh, look at there. Look what I can see in this still life. I see this landscape, you know? I think that's great.
Well, I was thinking of in the meadow. You said if you're in a meadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was trying to figure out how to do a rock.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, and these 3 are yours?
Yes.
So how'd it go for you?
I didn't feel like I was like hypnotized, but I felt very calm, very like at peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was drawing the second one, you were talking about the hot air balloon, and so like, you know, cutting it and letting it go. And so I
Yeah.
replaced it with like all like the anxiety, the stress, and whatever it's weighing me down.
Yeah.
Just like it just
Good.
felt
So,
very nice.
so here we have, you know, first one we have the still life, trying to draw it as it is. Now we have a metaphor, you know, and you see that air balloon, hot air balloon as a metaphor, as a, you know, as peace of mind, kind of, you know. So that's really cool to see. And the third one, talk about that one a little bit.
I don't know, not much to say, I guess.
Okay. Well, you put it on a table. You gave the table some legs.
Yeah.
Stood it up, right? Good for you. All right. How about these 3 right here?
Those are mine. Well, I stressed out. I thought workshop was going to be a lecture. And then when we had to draw, I was like, I couldn't get over that because that's not really my thing. So I really was, and he said he could draw, and he was next to me, so I was trying to leave all that behind.
Well,
And
good
then-
for you, and I think you did.
Yeah.
And then I just looked at it differently, and I started looking more. Then I noticed the shadows for the first time.
Yeah.
And then the third one, it was like, Just let it go, it doesn't matter.
Well, and it does, and that's the most exciting drawing up there.
It is.
You know, and it's really neat to see your progression. Here again, well, I got to get it right. Let's make these things look like they look, right? And here you saw the shadows, you saw some light. Things are bigger, you're a little bolder, and more confident. And here, man, you took the lid off the edge and just let it go. That's great. Good to see.
Good draw, that's very good.
Okay, and these three right here. Anybody claiming these three?
Orphan children.
That must be Vivian, she's in the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Well, let's check these three out here. These yours, Jim? Right here?
These are mine, yeah.
So tell us about how it went for you, Jim.
Talking to the microphone.
Talking to the microphone. Oh. Well, I started out just looking at the still life being kind of regular, and then as I looked up, I saw Roberto across the room intently drawing, and so I started putting him in there in number one.
The floating head.
That's great.
Yeah, so don't hold it against me, pal. And then in number two, I guess as you were going through the counting and everything, I kept seeing him more in my mind. That's what I wanted to focus on when I started drawing, but yet I guess I wanted the still life kind of in the foreground, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Well, and I like how your line is loosened up considerably here. Much freer, much bolder. And then tell us about the third one.
It's flamingo.
Flamingo. There you go.
That's what I was focused on, the little goofy flamingo.
And again, more of an idea in that one. You know, you've chosen something to focus on, to build on that. And again, you feel the whole picture playing out. Wonderful. Well, these are fun, and these are yours. Mm-hmm. Tell us about what you've got going here.
You have some art classes.
She had my English class.
I know.
Kind of like Jim, I started out just kind of with what it is. It's just straightforward replica of what I saw, and there's the various things, odd that they may be. And then as I went to number two, I decided they needed some sort of a table rather than. It's kind of hard to draw Formica. Anyway, so I made a cake. And once the cake game started, I thought, well, let's let it ride. And everything kind of went to chaos, including the knife. And the crazy man now is a lot more, well, he came alive. And the last one is, well, I don't know, I just put all the pieces in the world.
Yeah.
I guess. The flamingos are flying away and doing crazy dances, and there's a little pond with a fish that joins in.
I think this is a good example of how you freed up your mind, right?
Yes,
I mean, here, got to do it like this. But you really didn't have to. I just had to do the best drawing you could do. And your best drawing turns out to be the last one, Although the second one, I got to say, I'm enjoying that too. You've got some real openness and freedom to do it.
This one, you didn't just draw what you saw, you embellished it. It looks really awesome. And
That's true.
I was trying to draw it exactly, but you're like being really creative.
And then, I figured that Kim should be in there somewhere, so his book emerges from the pond, How to Relax, if you see that. And that flamingo took it far too seriously.
See, you're letting the ideas flow, and I think that's what creativity is all about. Finding those ideas, letting them go, Excellent. How about these three?
Those would be nice.
How'd it go for you?
Well, I think I turned that number 3 into a Monet.
Yeah? Good.
And I turned that moon into a little girl.
Right there.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, and again, we look at your first one, and you've got the objects down there, but in the line is pretty much the same, everything you've drawn. Second one, you've gotten bolder, you've gotten bigger with things, you've changed up your line, and the third one, you played.
Yeah.
I think play is so important. Being that 6-year-old is so important. And I think, so many artists have seen it as that. Okay, how about these three?
Oh, that's me.
Tell us about it.
The first one, I was just trying to get the lay of what I could see from over on this side. We could just really see the back of the bag and 3 glasses, the flamingo, and like a ballerina dancer. And she looked kind of trapped. So on the second one, she looks like she just wants to.
Let her be free. Again,
Yeah.
you're bringing in ideas and concepts. You know, it's not just objects that are there, but now it's becoming about an idea.
Yeah, she's really quite lovely and elegant, and then she's next to just like an ordinary like red plastic glass. It's just so surreal. I mean, it's just the opposite. So I thought that was really lovely.
And the third one?
Well, I tried to be 6,
Yes,
and
you
I
did.
love sailing ships, so it looked like, you know, they could just sail away.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
You really opened up to that. That's good to see. All right, and these 3 right here?
Those are mine.
All right.
And that's exactly how it looks from where I was sitting.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
I
So,
protest.
so there was that one, and then this one I just tried not to think about it as much, just see what was on there. And then like Jim, I really liked the flamingos, so I put that in my 6-year-old. And then I was like, he's a flamingo, he's gotta have flowers and some hearts. And then my hand, of course, because you know, that's what you do
Oh,
when you're
man,
6.
you filled that one up. I mean, imagine a whole gallery full of different drawings like that. Excellent. And you were the one that was concerned about no talent. I mean, look at what you've done here, you know?
I like applause.
Good. And the variety of kind of marks and smudges and things you're doing here with the second one, again, you know, you've allowed yourself to do that. You've opened up to that.
Yeah.
And then here, you let it all flow. Good for you. All right, the 3 down here that chose to do them on half a piece of paper.
Kind of a horizontal format. so-
Okay, and the table's a little crowded there, right? So tell us about your experience.
Well, I tried to go for proportions and main lines and just shapes. Wasn't too concerned about getting it real, just
Okay. Yeah, and your second one, I mean, it's like, what'd you have, 4 times as much time? I mean, you got some 4 times as much done in that second one as you did the
trying to
first
be
one.
careful. I just tried to,
Let the line flow.
yeah.
Yeah, good for you. And the third one?
Well, I don't know.
Different kind of marks, different way of thinking about it?
Yeah, I tried to get some background in it.
Uh-huh.
So,
Good.
Little trees?
oh, there are all these people's heads in the back.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's great.
They're rather abstract heads.
Okay, again, more thought, more ideas behind the thing. And these 3?
Those are mine.
Oh, excellent.
Let's see what we got here. Yeah, the first one, I was just kind of overwhelmed. There were so many objects on there, so obviously I was in a stressful state trying to think about how to get it all on there. And once I made a mistake, then kind of lost my self-esteem with respect to the whole thing. And that Tupperware, I just decided that didn't exist. And now I see everybody else, they didn't have any problems thinking that way too. It's like there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
Then of course the second one, I was in the hypnosis mood to really kind of think about that, and so the main thing I noticed was I was taking the whole picture frame in mind, and then just trying to, like, the guy in the middle was like, okay, just quit thinking about this so much, just kind of let some things evolve.
Well, and things are so animated here, you know, versus this one, which is much different. I mean, I look at the flamingos, they got some personality, you know,
Yeah.
and your figure, like, he looks like he's on fire, you know, I mean, the way you've drawn it. So, you know, allowing ideas and concepts to flow.
Yeah, that was
creatively.
happening.
Yeah, good. And the third one?
Yeah. I just, well, because the suggestions were going through my mind, I was working with those and kind of just really trying to relax, and that was, I appreciate that.
Good.
Then I was kind of got thrown off when you said 6-year-old, because now it looks like I regressed, but I was pushing harder on it, and I think I got a pretty good version of how I would have drawn it when I was 6, because I was trying to feel that way a little bit.
Good.
But I wonder, you know, you'd have said something else, you know, how that one would have evolved. So, yeah, in some ways that's, it's a
And
simpler
then again,
format.
you know, these are 10-minute drawings, you know.
Yeah.
This is what you did in 10 minutes, and the way your thinking has evolved in 10 minutes with each of these drawings. I think it's always amazing to me to see how these have happened.